Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard. I'm going to talk to you today about a very simple and extremely important home screening technique for pre-diabetes. You know, the CDC came out with this very disturbing report that said that 1 in 3 Americans, 100 million people, are pre-diabetic as we speak, and 90% of those people don't know it. And the reason is because we have this gaping hole in Western medicine. It's not screening people properly, hasn't kept up with the new studies. We know now, it's well documented, that between 70 and 85 milligrams per deciliter is normal blood sugar when you wake up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, you take your blood sugar and you find out what that blood sugar number is. And if it's between 70 and 85, you're in great shape. Okay? They did a study and they found out that if you're over 85 milligrams per deciliter in the morning, you have a 40% risk of dying of a stroke or a heart attack in your life. They did another study with 46,000 men who were non-diabetic. 80% of them were over 85. The studies are so conclusive that there is significant risk when your blood sugars go over 85. But there's no real screening for pre-diabetes or diabetes until you're either at 100 or 110. Diabetes is 126. That's when they're going to start looking at type 2 diabetes. Most labs still have 110 as the pre-diabetic screening mark. Some labs will screen you at 100. But either way, once you're over 85 to 90, you've got a 20% increased risk of dying of a heart attack or stroke. From 90 to 95, your first fasting blood sugar, first thing in the morning, you have another 20% increased risk. And it might take 10, 15 years for you to go from the good, healthy blood sugar in the low 80s up to the high 90s or to 105 or 110 before someone says, hey, guess what? You're pre-diabetic. We need to do something about your diet now. And see, there's nobody telling us until it's too late. We have to screen ourselves now, and the best way to do that is go to your local pharmacy, pick up a cheap glucometer, blood sugar testing device. It's very simple. You can get them online, and you poke yourself with a little striker to get a little blood. You squeeze it in this, very little blood, doesn't hurt at all, and you find out what your first morning blood sugars are, and then you have an absolute either motivator to get yourself on a good diet, because now you realize, oh my gosh, my blood sugar is 104, and you don't realize it. Remember, 90%, 90 million people, 1/3 of Americans are pre-diabetic and they don't know it. You take your blood sugar, all of a sudden you're looking at that number on the screen, you're going to I better get my act together. I better get my diet together. I test my kids. I told my 11-year-old one night, I said, hey, I'm going to test your blood sugar in the morning, okay? Because he's got a sweet tooth, right? So I went into his room that morning, and he knew it was happening. And I reached in, couldn't see, he was under the covers. I couldn't see him, but I found his arm, and I pulled his arm out and got his finger, and I was ready to poke him. And he said, Dad, I said, yeah. He said, what are you doing? I said, don't move. And I poked his finger, and we got some blood. And, he was good with it. But it was normal, and it was great because kids should be normal. Gosh, they definitely should be normal. But your kids have sweet tooths, and they get so many sugars. I talk about that in my previous video newsletter. We're doing this series on pre-diabetes because it's so critically important. Please, go get a cheap tester. Make sure you and your family are not, pushing numbers over 85. And if they are getting over and they're creeping up, then we can do something about that now and change our diet and make dramatic changes to get ourselves back into a healthy blood sugar. Most of those blood sugars are easily brought back into balance with just cleaning up your diet, and it happens very, very quickly. But if you let it linger, then you're knocking on the door of pre-diabetes, and that's something that none of us want. I have so many patients that I do this with, and they come out and they say, gosh, they come back and they email me, my blood sugar is 120, 130, 160, I mean, it's mind-boggling how many people are actually pre-diabetic, and they simply don't know it. They don't have any symptoms. I think of this particular test as so simple and so easy and such a motivator for you to get your diet together, get your act together about the sugars and the processed foods, such a motivator to get back on track and prevent obesity, heart disease, arterial damage, many types of cancers, Alzheimer's. All the studies that are linked to high blood sugar I list in the article associated with this video, so please check that out. And thank you for listening. I'm John Douillard.